Hello and welcome to our March rendition of Makers with Heart. And this month we are concentrating on showcasing our beautiful cardstock, but mainly the color Journey, which is our color of the year. So that's this color here, and then I'm searching on my screen for another piece so that you can see the front and back of it. Because Close to My Heart cardstock, although it may be going away, is awesome in that you get the real color, the true color, and then on the back you get a second generation of it. So I have gone through my stash here, and I had this piece of Journey that was left over, and then this other piece is an old color crystal blue, and then I think this third piece of green might be baby blue. I don't have anything in with a name on it so that I can show exactly what those are. And then this piece here is green apple, and it is 7.5 by 10, and I'm using it kind of as my bigger photo mat, but I also plan to do my journaling on it, and any titling and all of that will kind of be oriented around this rectangle. So these photos are actually just from last week. I printed them myself at home of it was President's Day, or not last week, I should say, a couple weeks ago. Our friend came down from Michigan, and we picked her up at the airport and then drove directly to the parks because my husband wasn't working that day. My son had the day off for President's Day, so we went to the parks. But more about that later. So this is the brand new balloon stencil, and you can see it's 3 layers. So you have the strings from the balloons, and then you have the outlines of all the balloons, and then you have another that has some circles and stripes that go over the balloons, but they don't go over all of them. So I know I'm going to be using those on one of the pieces in the back of my layout. And then I found this, and it kind of had the diamond pattern from a toolbox like you would see in a pickup truck. And then I really like the circle element because we're in the Epcot park. I thought having that circle element would kind of tie in with that. Disney and stars go hand in hand in my world, so I feel like I had pulled enough stencils out, and I wanted to jump into showing you how to use them, and this is what not to do. So I put my 2 pieces of crystal blue cardstock down, and excuse me, and I forgot to tape them down. So now I've taped them down, and I have my texture paste, and you just push it through the openings in the stencil onto your paper that's underneath and held down with tape, just like you would kind of frosting a cake. To me, this is very soothing, very relaxing. It's fun. I'm going to add that diamond sparkle stencil. That's what I'm envisioning over it with some color, and kind of do a double layering of stenciling. And I'm going to show you all of my actual stenciling and putting the texture paste on, or stenciling with both pigment ink and dye ink, so you can see how those are different. But I'm going to also talk about this month, Close to My Heart's cardstock is on sale. And as I said, one of the things that it's known for is that it has one color on the front and then kind of a softer color or iteration of that same color on the back. I always call that first and second generation. And here I am using the White Daisy pigment ink, and pigment ink is an ink that stays on top of the surface, where a dye ink sinks into the surface of paper. So by having a pigment ink, you can have this color and it will sit on top of darker cardstock. But their cardstock is on sale this month. They have specials going on. If you haven't heard the sad news, which if you're on my channel you probably have, Close to My Heart is closing its doors. It's going to close on its terms. The trend is of the marketing for them just isn't there, and the founder, Jeanette, is having some health issues, so she is deciding to close it now on her terms, and that also allows Close to My Heart to help us makers transition to perhaps another company more gently, more graciously, and we can continue with our craft. So you can see here on this, what I think is baby blue cardstock, I'm using that circle element, and then I'm offsetting the circles so that they're all intermingled, almost like a 1970 feel, or late 1960s. I don't know if you remember those patterns. And I'm just doing it with the Journey ink, so that you know kind of what I'm doing here. But I encourage you to continue to create. I know I had planned to move my channel in a different direction, and then with my mom's passing, I just haven't gotten back into the groove again. But there are so many of us that are sad over losing Close to My Heart as our source of supplier, because I love their product and this will be my 18th year as a maker with Close to My Heart. I will just hit 18 years and then they will close their doors forever. So what I decided to do instead of colors as my over top of my stars is the Nebula Gel Paste, and it has stars in it and it has the gold color. And so I'm just kind of brushing it through that diamond pattern stencil. So just getting little hints of the gold on top of those stars. And now you'll see I'm going to put the strings with black ink, stencil those onto our balloons, and then I'll show you some die coloring with the reinkers. So going back to, since I'll be using reinkers, some of our reinkers in that are out of stock currently, but Close to My Heart has orders coming in to restock some of this stuff. Some of it is once it's gone, it's gone. I do know they are in negotiations with Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up doesn't really have a scrapbook line, and so maybe, fingers crossed, some of the wonderful supplies and tools that we've used in scrapbooking from Close to My Heart will now be available with the Stampin' Up company and all of the Close to My Heart makers going over there. So here I've just taken the white and put it in over a couple of the balloons, and then I'm gonna I realize that I don't need all of this texture paste. It's just going to be way too much for what I need. It's such a little amount, but it always feels like you need more. But since I'm tinting it, I don't want to have too much. I can always add more. So I added 2 drops of the green apple reinker. I actually wish I would have dropped one because my texture paste is very new, and so it's already really moist. My texture paste that had gotten further down in the bottle, they always dry out just a little bit, so when I added reinker, it always like revived it, and it was a nice way to spread it. This is a little thin, and that's fine, but I had more than enough to do these 3 balloons. And I'm taking my little shop rags and wiping up, not because I need to wipe up, but I'm just concerned that I don't want to have any muddied colors when I go to add any of the Scarlet or the Journey tinted texture paste over some of the balloons. So here I got smart, and I have chosen the bottom pile of my texture paste, and I'm mixing that with Scarlet reinker. And again, I just did 1 drop. And Scarlet is not the true red that Disney normally is and the red that's in the photos, but it has that gray tone to it, the same as the crystal blue cardstock and the Journey cardstock. So to kind of keep that same muted gray tones, I went ahead with the Scarlet. And you can do that in your own. It's one of those things, it's a red, your eye is going to just assume that it all works. So it will represent red for me in my layout. You'll see that later. So here, with just 1 drop of the Journey reinker into the texture paste, I'm going to fill in some of the lines and dots on our balloons. And I'm not doing all of them because I know I'm not going to see all of them, but I thought I might as well use up all of the texture paste that I have. So I'm going to slow the reveal down because to me, that's the best part. And I love how this little piece of paper came out. It didn't take much time at all. So I encourage you, if you haven't tried any of the layered stencils, I love them. So here I grabbed my black ink and I'm just kind of inking up the edges of my green apple photo mat. And I thought about inking up the edges of all the other papers, but I decided I didn't want that. I just wanted to make sure that this had a border. I had debated about using a piece of black cardstock, but I thought that would just be a little bit bigger. So that's why I chose to ink the edges. So in these photos, you can see the one on the right, I'm kind of like putting my face in, trying to get in the photo, because my husband was trying to take a picture of him and our friend in front of the ball, and I'm like trying to get in the picture, and he's like, hey, go away, you know. But then you can see in the other photo that our son is there too. But what I was sharing is my husband wasn't working that day because he was going to be flying across the country for meetings for the next 2 weeks. So it was kind of nice. We just did a few hours over at the park, the four of us, and had a nice meal and rode Cosmic Rewind, which to me is the best roller coaster Disney has. So I went back to my stash. I put together some pages back in October that were all Disney themed, and I had used these Mickey and Friends Cricut cuts I had all assembled, and these were leftover, so I thought this was perfect to help get me a little bit of that red in to match my son's hat and our friend's Mickey ears. This blue airplane, couldn't think of what that was, works perfectly with the blue colors and especially the sky, but I didn't figure out where there was room for it. So here I'm kind of dry fitting these embellishments. I knew that I had pulled some black stars out again. Disney and stars, kind of sprinkling that pixie dust, just works well. I'm liking the Mickey hand up in the corner, but then I realized I didn't have a space for my journaling to talk about, my own husband kicking me out of the photo. And Mickey's eyes are looking up, so he couldn't be at the top. I'm going to nestle him here at the bottom. I'm kind of liking that. I will apologize. I lost some footage. So here I start to pull out my stars and put them on, and then the footage is just gone. So you'll see me playing with a few of them, and that shooting star one, I wanted the size of a solid star, but I didn't want the shooting star. If Tinkerbell were involved with this, maybe, but I just wanted some stars to kind of play around with on here. So I do that, and then in between going and getting glue to glue these down, I lost some footage. So I am going to put some highlights on Mickey. To me, that just makes these Cricut embellishments just come to life more. It just gives them some more depth. So that's what I did, is put some highlights on Mickey, and then you will see here what I did with the actual layout. So I added some more stars there above my journaling. We have stars there around the hand. The Disney is just my title. I could put fun at, but I decided to just leave it like this. I was thinking that I could, if I needed to, bring in some more red with the word fun. But again, I decided not to do that. But you guys can decide what you want to do. Now, Katie will be tomorrow for our collaboration, so be sure to check out what she does along with all the rest of the gals for the week. And at the end of the month, on the 25th, we come back for a challenge that Lori gave us. And have a great day. Be a blessing. If you have a close to my heart maker, it's not too bad. It's not so bad to reach out and just tell them you're thinking of them. Have a great day.